I was lying there, motionless, my body weak and my breath barely whispering through the oxygen tube. The machines beside me hummed softly, each beep reminding me that I was still here, still alive. But to everyone else in that room, I was already gone. I remember the moment I first heard them talking, my own children. Standing just outside my hospital door, they spoke in low voices, the kind people use when they think the dying can't hear. But I could. Every word. "She's not getting better," my son whispered. "We should start making arrangements before it's too late." Arrangements. That word sliced through me like a knife. My daughter sniffled. "I already called the funeral home. Mama used for Daddy. They said they can have a spot ready by Friday." Friday, they were talking about burying me by Friday, and it was only Tuesday. I wanted to scream, "I'm still here." I wanted to lift my hand, open my eyes, do something, but my body refused. The medicine had me trapped in a fog between life and death. My mind was awake, but my body was a prisoner. The nurse came in, adjusting my her eyes kind but tired. "You've got strong vitals," she said softly, not realizing those words were the only ones keeping me tethered to hope. I wanted to thank her, to tell her she was the only one who still believed in me, but even my lips wouldn't move. Then I heard it, the sound of laughter. My children, laughing in the hallway. Not because of joy, but relief. As if my death would be a blessing, a solution. I closed my eyes tighter, tears rolling silently down my cheeks. Was I just a burden now? In that silence, I prayed, "God, if you can hear me, please don't let me go like this. Not while they've already buried me in their hearts." And in that stillness, something stirred deep inside me. A flicker of warmth in my chest, faint but real. It was as if my soul refused to surrender. I wasn't done yet. They could plan my funeral all they wanted. But I wasn't ready to die. The night that followed felt like a storm trapped inside my body. I could hear the faint buzz of the hospital lights, the hum of the air conditioner, and the distant chatter of nurses at the station, but everything around me blurred like a dream. I couldn't wake from. My chest felt heavy, my heart slowing, my breaths shallow and uneven. The doctor had told my children earlier. It's only a matter of time. I remember the way my daughter cried into her hands. The way my son stood in silence, pretending to be strong. They had already started saying goodbye. But one woman, one angel in scrubs, refused to let go. Her name was Nurse Clara ***. She had been with me since the day I was admitted. While others saw a frail old woman waiting for her last breath, Clara saw something else, a flicker, a fight. That night, she came to check on me long after visiting hours. The hallway was dark and quiet. My family had gone home, and death felt close enough to touch. She adjusted my blanket and whispered, "Mrs. Johnson, it's okay to rest now. But if you can hear me, blink for me." I tried, oh Lord, I tried. My eyelids trembled, just a little, but it was enough. She gasped softly, leaning closer, her hand pressing against mine. "You're still in there," she whispered. I knew it. I felt the warmth of her touch, the first human connection that didn't treat me like a fading memory. Minutes later, I heard hurried footsteps. Clara had called the doctor. "Her vitals are changing," she said, breathless with hope. The doctor sighed, frustrated. "It's just the body's final reaction," he said coldly. "She's gone, Clara. Don't give false hope." But Clara didn't listen. She stayed beside me, whispering prayers under her breath. "Lord, if there's still a spark left in her, let it burn." And in that moment, something inside me stirred, faint but fierce. My heartbeat, slow and fading, began to steady. My breathing deepened. Each inhale a small rebellion against the grave, waiting outside that hospital room. The machines began to beep faster. Clara's voice rose, trembling with disbelief. "Doctor, look at the monitor." He rushed back in, his face turning pale as he watched the rhythm of life flash across the screen. This can't be, he muttered. But it was. I was still here. As they scrambled around me, checking tubes and numbers, I heard the nurse whisper, "Don't you give up now. Mrs. Johnson, God's not done writing your story yet." And deep in my still body, my soul answered, I never planned to give up. I just needed someone to believe I was still breathing. Morning sunlight crept through the blinds, soft and golden, as if heaven itself was trying to warm my skin. The beeping of the monitors was louder now, steady, rhythmic, alive. For the first time in days, I could move my fingers. It was small, weak, almost invisible. But to me, it felt like lifting mountains. Nurse Clara was by my side, smiling with tears in her eyes. "You did it," she whispered. "You came back." The doctor entered soon after, rubbing his temples as if trying to make sense of it all. "It's a miracle," he said quietly. "She was gone." No, I wanted to tell him. I was never gone. You just stopped listening. Word spread fast. Within an hour, the same family that had been planning my funeral was rushing back into the hospital, faces pale, eyes wide. My son was the first through the door, clutching his phone like it was proof of something. My daughter followed, mascara smeared, still wearing the same clothes she'd cried in the night before. "Mom," she whispered, her voice cracked like glass. My lips parted, my voice hoarse but alive. "I told you," I whispered, each word trembling out of me. "Don't bury me yet." They both froze. My son dropped his phone. The sound of it hitting the floor echoed through the room. For a long moment, no one moved, not even the machines dared to beep. Then, slowly, my daughter fell to her knees, sobbing. "Mom, we thought—" She couldn't finish. I wanted to be angry. I wanted to scream and ask how they could plan my funeral while my heart still fought for another day. But as I looked at them, their faces twisted with guilt and disbelief. Something in me softened. "I heard you," I said weakly. "Every word. The calls, the plans, even the laughter." My son broke down then, covering his face. "I didn't know what else to do, Mama," he cried. "They said you were gone. The doctors told us there was no hope." The doctor shifted uncomfortably, avoiding my gaze. But I wasn't angry with him anymore. Sometimes faith isn't about what science can explain. It's about what God refuses to let go of. Nurse Clara stood in the corner, quietly wiping her tears. She didn't speak, but her eyes said everything. I told you she wasn't done yet. That night, my children sat beside my bed, too afraid to leave me alone. They brought flowers, the same ones they'd bought for my funeral. I looked at them and smiled. "Let's call them celebration flowers instead," I whispered. And as the room filled with quiet laughter, I realized something beautiful. Death had come to my door. But faith had opened another one. The days that followed were like waking up from a long, dark dream. My body was weak, but my spirit was roaring. Every breath I took felt like a victory, every heartbeat like a hymn. The doctors called it a medical mystery. The papers on my bedside chart said, resuscitated after unresponsiveness, but I knew better. It wasn't science that pulled me back. It was grace. It was prayer. It was the soft, stubborn whisper of God saying, not yet, My children stayed with me for the first few days after I woke. They brought flowers, soup, and forced smiles. The kind of smiles people wear when they don't know how to face what they've done. One evening, my daughter sat beside me, holding my hand like she used to when she was a child, afraid of thunderstorms. "Mama," she said quietly, "I need to confess something." I looked at her, waiting. She took a deep breath. "We started cleaning out your house, selling some of your things. We didn't think you were coming back." Her voice cracked. "I'm so sorry." For a moment, silence filled the room. I could almost hear my heart breaking, not because of the things but because of what they represented. My life, reduced to a collection of memories in cardboard boxes. I closed my eyes and whispered, "You don't need to apologize, baby. You did what you thought you had to do. But let me tell you something, as long as there's breath in my body, God's not done with me yet." She began to cry, her tears falling on my hand. "I should have had more faith," she said. I smiled softly. "Faith isn't about never doubting, child. It's about holding on even when you do." Each day, I grew stronger. The nurses called me a miracle. The doctors studied my recovery like a secret they couldn't solve. But for me, it was simple. I had been given a second chance, not just at life, but at love. My son, who had once been so cold, started showing up every morning. He'd bring coffee and sit quietly by my bed, scrolling through his phone, pretending not to watch me breathe. One day he said, "You know, Mom, I don't think I ever believed in miracles before this." I chuckled softly. "Now you don't have to believe. You've seen one." And he smiled, really smiled for the first time in years. At night, when the ward fell silent and the world outside my window disappeared into darkness, I would whisper a prayer, not asking for anything, just thanking God for everything. I realized then that sometimes He lets us touch the edge of death just to remind us how precious life truly is. They had planned my funeral, but God had planned my resurrection. When they finally wheeled me out of that hospital, the air outside felt like heaven itself. The breeze kissed my skin, the sunlight poured over my face, and for the first time in weeks, I could smell life again, rain on the pavement, flowers blooming near the parking lot, the scent of living. Nurse Clara hugged me tight before I left. "You're my miracle story," she said through tears. "I'll never forget you." I squeezed her hand. "You didn't just save me, Clara. You saw me when everyone else stopped looking." My children stood beside the car, awkward and quiet. They had been so eager to plan my funeral. But now they didn't know how to plan my return. I smiled at them gently. "Don't look so nervous," I teased. "It's not every day your mama comes back from her own funeral." They laughed, the kind of laugh that breaks and heals at the same time. When I returned home, I noticed things were different. My favorite chair was gone. Some of my old dresses were missing. And the framed photo of my late husband had been moved to a corner table, as if even he had been ready to say goodbye. For a moment, sadness tried to creep in, but I didn't let it. Those things were just things. What mattered was the gift I'd been given: time. Each morning, I sat by my window with a cup of tea, watching the sunrise paint the sky gold. I'd whisper to myself, "You're still here for a reason." I began visiting the church again. Slow steps with my cane, but a heart full of purpose. People gasped when they saw me. "We heard you passed." One woman cried. I smiled. "I did," I said softly. "But God sent me back with a message." And that message was simple. Don't let anyone bury you while you're still breathing, not doctors, not family, not fear. I started speaking at church gatherings, telling my story to anyone who'd listen. I told them about the machines, the whispers, the plans for my funeral, and the miracle that followed. People would cry, some would smile, but all would listen, because deep down, everyone has felt the weight of being given up on. Now, every time I walk past my mirror, I see more than wrinkles and scars. I see proof, living proof, that even when the world gives up on you, God doesn't. One evening, as I sat in my living room with my children, my daughter turned to me and said, "Mama, you've changed since all that." I smiled. "No, baby," I said softly. "I just finally started living." The room fell quiet, peaceful. Outside, the wind rustled through the trees, whispering the same truth that carried me through the valley of death. You were buried too soon. But heaven wasn't ready to let you go.